Hey guys, alright, so this is the Froggy pose and how we edit it. So what we're going to do is get the two images that we took. So we've got Dad holding the top, and then we've got the other image of Dad holding the bottom. So basically going to copy the image over, so copy that bit, and then paste it onto the other image that has the hand on top. So we're working with the top half here. So basically what you want to do is free transform it, so Command Shift T, I think on a Mac, and then line up that hat. What you want to do is reduce the opacity to about 50% so you can see both layers, and then line up that hat as perfect as you can. With this particular shot, I think my angle was slightly off, but it doesn't really matter as long as because all we're trying to do is fix the hat, so you'll see once it's lined up generally pretty good, it'll blend perfectly fine, no problems. So just lining it up a little bit more, and then you'll see we're going to turn this layer, once it's all lined up, into a mask so that we can then paint it back on. So I just really wanted to get this perfect, as good as possible, so just bear with me. Okay, so then we bring the opacity of that layer back to 100%, turn it into a mask and invert it with Command I. And now, because it's a black mask, with a white soft fluffy brush, we can paint it back on, or paint that part of the hat on. And this part sometimes requires just a little bit of fine adjusting with like the lining up of around the edges and stuff. You can see on his back there where the hat is just sitting a little bit weird. You'll see how I just sort of blended that, going back and forth. So switching between the black and the white paintbrush just to blend it and get it looking normal. And then sometimes a little bit of fine adjusting, so go back to free transform, Command Shift T, and then just line it up a little bit better if you need to. That was a bit better. The main part here was the knot, and that side part was lined up good. And then just going back with your brush and touching it up where it needs it. There's a lot of switching back and forth from your black and your white brush. Just in case you make a mistake, you just mask it back off. And then if you hit the, I'm not sure what it's called, maybe a bracket button or a backslash button. It's basically above the return or enter key on your Mac keyboard. That brings up that red layer, which just shows you where you've painted it on or off. And so you can see if you've missed any bits, or if there's something on his face that shouldn't be there, it will line up. It will light up bright red. And that's pretty good. So then I flatten that, Command Shift E, and then I'm going to crop. I like to crop at 5:7 ratio. And then I like to do free transform, just Command Shift T, and stretch the image a little bit. That just helps with those dodgy edges as well. And then there's a couple ways you can fix that backdrop. Either, what am I doing there? I am patching. So you can either patch it or, I'm losing my mind today, clone it. So just by sampling some areas around that similar color, you just clone around just to make it all blend. And then you're going to see the full edit of this as well. So from here I went into Liquify and just fixing up that little knot as well on his bonnet. First I stretched down his little cheek a bit because he was squishing it a bit. You just want to make sure those fingers and fingernails are in proportion. So you can see the size of my brush as I'm working there, just to I don't know, make him a little bit more sort of perfected. Really get his cheek. He's got big chubby cheeks. I really wanted to show that off. And just fixing up his little sleepy cap as well with the shape. And any other finer adjustments, you'll see how that actually did impact, making him look nice and round and pudgy how he is. And we hit OK, and then you'll see before and after just how that sort of perfected his shape there. Beautiful. Alright, so now we're going to come in and start spot healing all these little flaky skin bits. I like to leave a little bit of realness looking, but anything that's distracting that would have washed off in the bath, you know, that evening or whatever, that's what I usually would take off. So he's got just a couple of little spots here and there, little red marks or scratches, but this little guy was pretty much perfect skin-wise. Even skin tone, he's perfect. Nothing major to fix or balance out rather. So we just go through and spot all these out. Again, this is a spot healing brush. Sometimes it goes a bit crazy on me and I have to revert to the patch tool. But I don't know if I actually did that in this recording. He was pretty perfect, so nothing major to report. Now this was me just balancing out the skin reds. So what I do is sample. You'll see if you play back that slightly, I eyedropped a little bit on his skin that was quite red, and then I went all the way across to make him bright green. And then sliding that right hand slider back to get rid of most of the green off him, and so it just balances out the really red areas. And then if you creep it up just a little bit to +6 or so, with a little bit of lightness like that, then you can see before and after. It looks like that and just takes out that slight redness. If you want to see that again, just rewind and rewatch that, because it's a really good tip for doing all your skin reds for your babies. You just want to, if you've got little girls, like take it off their lips and fingers and toes, because you know, you don't want to take the color out of their toes or fingers. Okay, so this, I just ran my portraiture. That's my skin smoothing program. You can download that. I think it's about $200 US. I run that at about 30% or whatever I did there. So that just smooths him a little bit. If it was a mother or something in the image, I'd run that a little bit higher, maybe 70%. But with babies, I tried to keep it to a minimum. Now here I'm just balancing out this backdrop a little bit, adding a bit more fade color, just sort of giving it a little bit of an arty feel. And then you'll see that's before and after, and then I just sort of bring it down and just slightly apply that just so that it has that, still has the shadows around him, but the backdrop on the edge of the image is a little bit more balanced. This is a way I like to sharpen, so run it on its own layer. You can just do sharpen more, turn it into a mask, and then paint it onto his eyelashes, and it turns out really nice. It's a really nice way of sharpening. But you can record that for your own action and have that do its thing. And flatten image, and what else did I do? Is that all? Oh, here we go. I fixed his little foot. So yeah, just balancing out the brightness of that back foot. It was a little bit bright red, and it's a little bit less distracting now. And here I'm just taking out the yellows fractionally. For some reason, I'll edit an image and come back to it 5 minutes later and it looks so yellow. So I just like to tone down the yellows a little bit and add a little bit more pink into my yellows. And then save it. That's the high res version. And then save for web. So all I do is plonk my logo on, which I've saved into an action already. Pop it on. Adjust, and then change the opacity. Lately I've been running them quite bright, so they're really visible on the web. And then I resize my Facebook images, 2048 pixels on the longest edge. Save, and then save the name as web. It's usually a little bit more obvious to parents when they're going to upload their social media. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed that, and stay tuned for another video coming soon. Thanks guys, bye.